before you. When I presented it before, we had $50 million in there. We have changed that to $55 million of the COVID money. Section 2, we've set aside $49 million, and we've given a little more latitude in the description. We have purchasing equipment, expanding training, but not to be limited to vehicles, devices. Then we've also included some language that says that short-term tuition and vouchers could be, or not limited to, certain different items, including CNA, tuition vouchers, healthcare, credentialing, to increase services for hospital training and other things like that. If you move to page 3, around line number 55, we have some language enhancing necessary infrastructure to increase capacity and capability in workforce development and/or expanding spaces to allow upgrade of capabilities and electrical and support equipment. Moving down to a little bit lower in 56, we have promoting and marketing incentives. We want the people who are under or unemployed from COVID to know that there are these training programs out there to help get them back to work. Then we move into the money part of it here. And what we've done on this is we've used the existing WIOA distribution model. And the way this model works for distribution of money to the community colleges, there are basically two major formulas that can get it there: the wet funds allocation and then the WIOA federal money. This is following the WIOA model, and Senator Parks and her role as chair of universities and colleges, we were able to reach out and get verification from all 15 CJC presidents that the allocation model and percentages used in this are the exact models they expect, and we got that verification. So this gives that breakdown. It's very transparent on what the amounts would be instead of it just being ambiguous. In line 95, we have $4,700,000 to go to basically some on-the-job training. If you remember yesterday, Senator David Jordan had some interesting comments about his view on the importance of on-the-job training, especially in these times. So it has some ability to set that aside. Line 105, 109, we have the administrative fees for both the Department of Employment Security and for the four workforce investment areas. Section 3 states that none of the funds should be used for workforce investment areas until certain provisions have been done, and it just states that anyone who has been furloughed, unemployed, or underemployed as a result of COVID is the first priority of this bill. In Section 4, it says that same is true for anyone in that capacity who is receiving the on-the-job training money. Section 5 says that MDS will comply with the CARES Act. Section 6 says that MDS will create and certify and work with DFA on compliance with those provisions. And then Section 7 just states that the money appropriated in this act shall be paid by the state treasurer out of any money in the budget contingency fund. So that's an explanation of the bill. Again, what happened is the bill we passed before ended up being amended by the House, so that language disappeared, so we did not have a vehicle alive to deal with the workforce development money for COVID. So this was passed by the House, and we passed the general experience freeze that I handled, Senate Bill 3051. We agreed they'd handle one bill, I'd handle one bill, and that gets us to this point, Mr. Chairman. So I'd be glad to yield for any questions.
Okay, any questions? Okay, Senator Hill.
Just to reiterate that you think that this meets the criteria for the Treasury Department.
Right, and for the CARES Act. Mm-hmm. So what we did was we reached out to Cindy Hyde-Smith's office with some specific questions, and those specific questions kind of frame the language that's in here, because we want to be very, very careful and very sure that we are meeting those qualifications, and we don't have to, as Senator Polk had a question about earlier in committee, we certainly don't want to be put on the hook or
yeah,
have anyone.
That was my concern. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Senator Polk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, I don't think it would come as a surprise if I want to ask you about Section 6, number 2B, where it talks about repayment of funds if there is a misspend. And my concern this afternoon in our earlier meeting is the same concern I have now, is that Employment Security Commission gets most of their funding from unemployment insurance. Would those funds be protected if there is a payback, or is it possible that the employers in Mississippi would end up paying back the federal funds that were misspent?
And that was a very good question that you had in committee, and I didn't have the total answer for it. And my charge to you when we were speaking was that I believe that it would be the state that would be on the hook for it, and I would not want our employers to be, for the same reason that we froze the experience rate. I don't know that we could put something in here that would definitely remove that burden shift. I'm not sure if there was any language that could do that, but as I did in other committee, I will commit to you that I will do my best to make sure they are following the rules. You know, I won't be able to pay it back out of my pocket, but I will send that message along the chain everywhere it goes.
But the short answer is there's no actual protection for the employer.
Now, and even if we did put some language in here, I'm not sure that that would truly be extended to them because it is unemployment money, and because of the way contributions are made, I don't know that we could do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Hill? Oh, I'm sorry. Senator Jackson had a question, and then I'll go back to you. Okay, Senator Hill.
I have not heard discussion of putting any money into the employment trust fund right now. Can you speak to that?
I know there's a bill before that's passed out of the House to do that. It's in appropriations. It's the House Bill 1784. As it came over from the House, that had $250 million in there.
Okay, thank you.
As the number. I know that number is still being looked at. That's some of the last things that Chairman Hobson is working on, and probably Senator Wiggins as well, to get those finalized numbers on that. So there's not a final number,
just
but
wanted to
there
validate.
is going to be a number.
Validate
Yes,
that.
Senator.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Senator Jackson?
So the way the WIOA formula works is they look back over 3 years and they look at the physical dollars that have been spent in these types of programs. And as they look at that, they set the formula based on that. And so we do have some community colleges that do more of this type of training, and we have some who do not. For example, in the other committee, I know up in the Tupelo area, they have a lot of industry and they have a lot of participation in those programs, which makes their college numbers look a little bit higher. But it's not one of those things where the money is distributed to each one based on the fact that they are college. This is distributed by the actual number of people that they're training and the facilities they have in place right now. And it is, and that's to my point earlier, the formula is established and looked at by the community colleges, and we did have reach out and we did have feedback through the process to make sure they were all good with the formula and that this is truly the formula they're used to. This is the COVID dollars from this $55 million that we're setting aside that will be distributed in this fashion. There are other federal dollars that come in each year that are distributed through other dollars that flow into workforce that are distributed on this same model. Thank you so much. Thank you, Senator.
All right. Any other questions? Bye. Okay, I have a motion. Motion's title sufficient to pass. All in favor say aye. All opposed? All right. Motion carries. And that's it. Do I have a rise and report?